These mainstay species, whether we like them or not, they're important to us, are disappearing for reasons that not only we can't prevent, but we can't even understand.
You've got the depletion of species that you haven't seen before. You've got extraordinary growing water problems around the world. You've got depletion of fisheries all over. You've got the rapid increases in the price of food that you've never seen before.
As the food supply shrinks, a lethal chain of events unfolds.
It's a known fact that if America stopped exporting food because of a food crisis, immediately 100 nations would go hungry, and that in a year's time, Africa might lose 500 million people to famine.
This much I know, that where you have famine, you have plague. Where you cannot feed people properly, they become more susceptible to disease. And when you have disease, where people cannot do the work that they need to raise and transport the food, you have famine.
This cycle of disease and deprivation, if unchecked, could lead to the type of instability that can sweep the globe.
When you have that, you inevitably, sadly, have wars and governments fall, and the domino effect. That's what I'm most worried about beginning in 2012.
If this domino effect is not averted, there could be a serious threat to the survival of the human race.
When we talk about our time in history, biologists will tell us that there have been many extinctions in the past. And we are well into the 6th mass extinction on this planet right now.
We're going to go back to a situation very similar to Soylent Green, if you remember that movie years ago, where they're feeding off of plankton, and pretty soon they're feeding off of each other.
Life has been nearly wiped off the Earth 5 times before. Could there be another major extinction event in the future? Warnings from Nostradamus may unlock the answer. A striking number of ancient prophecies appear to coincide with the Mayan depiction of 2012 as a cosmically significant year. The predictions of famed prophet Nostradamus are also believed to describe the troubling array of global conditions today, disturbingly close to 2012. Even the lost book's astrological symbols seem to concur, as if they are veiled clues pointing to an impending shift.
What's interesting about this second image is the man with the bow, Sagittarius. And if you know your astronomy, and believe me, Nostradamus knew his astronomy, you know that Sagittarius is shooting his arrow almost exactly into the center of the galaxy.
Some interpreters believe the arrow in this drawing is pointing to the very place in the sky where the sun is predicted to rise in 2012. This galactic alignment is explained by the fact that the Earth rotates and wobbles like a top. And it is this wobble that causes our view of the sky to change. On December 21st, 2012, many believe that, as seen from the Earth, the sun will line up exactly with the center of the galaxy. Is the lost book providing one of the many warnings that something momentous will occur at this climactic time?
That's one of the most important things, not only being passed down by the Christians and the Jews and the Egyptians and even Islam, but Nostradamus and all of the prophets of the past have all felt this compelled to send this message down to us.
They left the messages in their text, in their oral traditions, in their temples. We've got to ask ourselves, what is it that could be so important that they would build entire civilizations to convey a message to us regarding our time in history? What were they trying to tell us?
Like many of the ancient prophets, Nostradamus camouflages his predictions. He writes his prophecies in the 1500s in southern France. when questioning the royals or the Catholic Church is a crime punishable by death. This forces him to be extremely careful in stating his most controversial visions of the future.
I would imagine that if you were talking to Queen Catherine and you announced to her that, yeah, all your children are going to be royals, but, you know, this one's going to die, and this one's going to die, and, oh, that one's going to have a really bad end, that you might not get the patronage that you were liking. In other words, no one likes a prophet that's right too much of the time, or is too accurate about things that are very close to your heart.
Nostradamus is not alone in the need for obscurity. Avoiding behavior that would offend the church is a way of life in 16th century Europe, causing many groups to go underground. One of these secret societies is the Freemasons. While they are primarily a fraternal organization today, some believe they have a long history of hoarding secret wisdom.
In the old days, Freemasonry was the highest echelon of knowledge of its time. So when you joined the Freemasonry, you got to read their secret libraries and learn the secret knowledge that had been passed down for maybe hundreds of generations, we don't know.
Some believe Nostradamus himself is associated with the Masons.
Right around the corner from his house in Ceylon, there's a church front that shows very clearly the return of Jesus at the end of time, right in the exact position where the sun will be rising in 2012 in the center of the galaxy. That at least a certain part of this awareness carried over to Nostradamus and influenced his idea of when to look for this great apocalyptic moment.
These Masons, who were considered some of the most skilled craftsmen of their time, plied their trade across Europe. They established a reputation as a tightly knit, ambitious group who built great Gothic cathedrals for the Catholic Church. The alchemist Fulcanelli theorizes in his book, titled The Mystery of the Cathedrals, that the Masons also had a hidden purpose. He claims that they boldly carved secret symbols that spell out their controversial prophecies into the face of these stone structures.
You really don't go to the trouble to carve the front of a massive Gothic cathedral unless you have some purpose behind it. Nostrdamos de Paris is again another one of these church fronts that had coded within it very important secret information.
These symbols include a bull, a lion, an eagle, and a human face. While the Christian interpretation is that they represent the writers of the Gospels, their true meaning, according to Fulcanelli, is a warning.
These are exact symbolic references to the four fixed signs of the zodiac. The man is Aquarius, the lion is Leo, the bull is Taurus, and the eagle is Scorpio, which today has turned into a scorpion, but in those days was an eagle.
These four signs of the zodiac are the constellations that the sun passes through every year in its path across the sky. They also represent great ages of time, each lasting thousands of years. According to astrology, the human race is now moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. This shift marks the coming of the galactic alignment.
The most important thing that they put into the Gothic cathedrals was the secret of the end of time. Again, the same thing that's in the Mayan calendar, the same thing that's in the pyramids. Our ancestors thought it was the most important knowledge that they could pass down to us so that when we enter into this time of crisis, which is where we are right now, we will know what to do.
If it is true that the Earth's weather patterns have become increasingly erratic, is this a sign of an imminent crisis?